guys, welcome back to the Farmhouse Knitting Podcast. My name's Dana and I'm coming to you from the woods of northern Illinois, and this is my podcast all about what I'm knitting slowly and joyfully. And so today I wanted to hop on and share with you a little bit about what I've been knitting lately. So as you saw from the last episode, if you were here last week, I was saying that I'm really cruising. I mean slowly, but I'm focusing on my stockings for my family. So that's what I am still working on. And I'm on stocking number 2 after last week, I say week, it's been more than a week, but after last time's attempt to do the corrugated ribbing, I can officially say that this stocking is on the move and it's working well. So grab something cozy to drink, something tasty to munch, and get knitting with me if you want to. So this is what I've been working on, and this is where it was last week, week. This is where it was last update. Is I was working on the corrugated ribbing and I was having so much trouble. My brain couldn't talk and knit the corrugated ribbing at the same time. So we'll see how this goes. But so I have the ribbing done. I added, just like I did for the first stocking, that was the gingerbread men. I wrote in my daughter's name, and then I continued the mountains that normally in the pattern go all the way around, but I actually added names. And then next, instead of the striping being like peppermint, because the other stocking I did first, if you haven't seen, was called the gingermint stocking. This is called the Steamer Train Stocking by Ursula Almeida. And so I thought this was really cool. I mean, she thought of really fun details that even just go with the name of the stocking. So like this has little train tracks, and the other one was gingermint and had little peppermints and peppermints all around. So this one, like I said, I'm still working on it, so it's not blocked, and it's let's see, I've done the falling snow, I think is what they call it. Let me see. Yeah, falling snow is what she calls this part. And then the train. So let's get all the way to the front and I'll show you how the train's going so far. We've got the engine and all the cars. I believe there's 3 cars. Yes, 1, 2, 3 cars and a caboose. And then I'm back to, I finished the next little bit of train tracks to kind of separate the segments. So we finished the last train tracks, and now I'm at the start of what she calls trees. So let me show you just the front of this pattern. So again, it's the mountains, the train tracks, the train and the snow, the train tracks, and now I'm doing the trees. Now for this one, you actually don't have to do the falling snow a second time. It's included in the tree. So yes, that is what I'm working on knitting now. And thank you for all your suggestions. I was just going to say this has been going a little easier because I don't do much stranded color work. And so this has been interesting. And I did do, I think it was back in here, I did do a whole bunch of segments that were knitting, and I was holding the yarn in both hands. So that's not something I usually do when I knit. I usually just hold it in the right and I kind of throw the yarn. So I did try this, and I'm still really not comfortable with it, and it's so uneven. So I'm gonna keep trying it on a different project. I know it's better to keep the yarns going parallel to each other. Thank you for the comments. I did go and check. I believe her name is Roxanne Richardson. She has some really good videos about how to do stranded color work, but I know I want to keep the lines parallel, the floats parallel, but I'm gonna just try my best And one thing I did do, even though I'm going to be using just the right hand, one thing I'm trying to be conscious of that I didn't even know was a thing is that my main color, which is the white, I think, unless I read this backwards, is always supposed to run along the bottom, and whatever accent color is going to run on the top. So that means, let's see, 2, 4, 6. So I'm going to work a green. That means I don't want to pull the green under. I want to pull the green on top. So that is something that I've been trying to be consistent with now. I only started doing that somewhere in here with the red though, because I didn't learn that tip. So we'll see if there's much of a difference in what becomes like it's looking like the dominant color versus the colors that are kind of accents. So we'll see. I'm doing right-handed, or I should say one-handed, but I'm trying to not let them cross. So hopefully that works out well. The yarn I'm using is the exact same as the Ginger Mint stockings. So it's Knit Picks Palette in the fingering weight. I'm using all the same colors for all 7 stockings. I have Bear, Pimento is the red, and then the green is Aurora Heather, and I like its kind of old-timey Christmas feeling to it. So that's what I'm working on knitting. And I've got some tea, it's salted caramel tea. I've got some, oh, my candle, oh my goodness. Okay, this candle is called Door County Apple Harvest, and I got it in Door County over the summer, and it smells so good. And so I have that going. And like I said, I had it in the summer, and this is my first time lighting it because it's such a small little tea light candle. I didn't want to part with it, and I didn't want to have it melt and then I'd be done with it. So I actually was just leaving them out, and the fragrance is so good and strong that you could smell it really well just having it out. But I finally was like, you know what, this is why I got it, is so that I can light it and fully enjoy it, and not just like, I don't know, it's like if you walk past a bakery and you're smelling how wonderful it smells inside, but you're not gonna actually let yourself go inside. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to actually light this candle because I need to. So I'm knitting, I'm knitting away on the stocking, and I'm remembering for the most part, but it is, I didn't do 6. It is definitely more time consuming, and I think that's what Roxanne was saying in her video, is that somebody she was knitting mittens with did it the same way I am with the one hand, and it does work, it's just not very efficient. So I will be finding a good stockinette only project after the holidays, and I can really practice just involving my left hand, and even if it's only one color and it's not really any stranded color work, just practicing holding the yarn. I don't even know the right way to do it. It feels so foreign, like when you first start trying to knit. But I do want to try working the muscles and getting the coordination in. So that's a definite on my to-do list after the holidays. But like I said, this is such a good heirloom piece that I don't want it to show up really wonky. Sorry, I edited the last video and I realized how many times I say wonky. So I didn't want this to show up really weird and strange, and the tension's all baggy here and tight there, when this is something that's gonna be on display and eventually, like, I mean, it is my kids and it's a special, meaningful thing. So I didn't want to have that be my test project. Is such an important thing. So if it bothers you that I'm knitting with 2 hands, then I'm sorry, but I just want to go with what's comfortable and get the project done without having it compromised. So let's see. Yes, we'll see how well the color work goes while I'm talking, because this has been something I've been dedicating about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half every evening to work on. 2, 4, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the base down for the new row. And just having a good steady amount of time that I'm working on it that way it's not December 1st and I'm realizing like, oh, I picked this project up twice since October and it's not going to be done. So if I work on it for about an hour and a half every night, then I'm hopeful that it'll work out. Okay, let's see. I want to show you what I'm also wearing because this is something new and unplanned because I don't do very well with like planning something out months and months and months and months in advance. But the original plan was that I was going to have a fall autumn cabin sock ebook or just an ebook, and it was going to be a collection of different patterns. And my brain just doesn't work that way because it's a lot of I don't know. I get excited about an idea and I do that idea and then I'm happy with it, but I have a harder time like waiting and being patient and saying, okay, this pattern is done, but I'm going to wait to release it for another 6 months because not all the patterns in the collection are done. I get so excited. It's like a kid at Christmas, or I just want to share it once it's totally ready and all the kinks are out of it. But yeah, so long way to say what I'm wearing, which are my Bramble Heather. Oh, sorry, that's the name of the yarn. It's my Autumn Bramble cabin socks. And these are with worsted weight yarn. It's the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Bramble Heather. So hence the name Autumn Bramble. And I knit them with size US 7 needles. I did a cuff. I did a whole bunch of honeycomb patterns down the whole front. The whole back is actually just stockinette, and then the whole foot is stockinette. So these have already been worn. Like I said, I finished these months ago at this point, and I had the pattern just waiting in a draft, and I began to realize that's not how I do best with my designing and with my promoting and marketing, because it's hard. I mean, I'm still excited about them months later, but it's hard for me to keep that excitement like secret and quiet and then be like, okay, now this is what I'm excited about. I just get excited about it in the moment and I have a harder time waiting and waiting and waiting and then showing it. And so I just wanted to do them as I have them ready. So this sock pattern is really easy to make. It's simple cables, and it's really fast to make. And I realized I had leaves in them as I was getting ready to film because I brought them out to go do farm chores and right before I filmed this. And that is one thing I'll say is that I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second. I'm really tired of hearing the idea, and it's not like everybody's saying this, but of hearing this idea that socks are only useful if they're knit with fingering weight yarn, or if they're knit with nylon, because it's not true. They are just as warm, and if you get good wool, it's durable. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's people have different expectations. If I tried to wear these in my running shoes and go running, it's not going to work well. I will end up with blisters and my feet are going to sweat like crazy. But that's not what their purpose is. Their purpose is warmth. Whether that's me wearing them inside and I'm just loafing around the house, or if I'm going and wearing my boots, or like right before I filmed, I was wearing my husband's Crocs because it was a really fast thing I could slip on. And I went to go get eggs out of the coop. And I'm walking through all the piles of leaves and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm halfway in the coop and then back out. And so I guess my point is that I think there's this idea that they're not functional if you can't wear them in regular shoes. And I wear these in shoes all the time. I'm wearing them in boots and Crocs and clogs, and I'm not just like, I'll wear these to church and that's it. I mean, I'm climbing into the chicken coop, cleaning after the chickens and gathering their eggs, which, okay, off my soapbox. But I did have something funny happen right before So we have our chickens, and they just started laying in the past week, I would say, laying their eggs. And so I went out there to go and check because we checked earlier and they hadn't laid any eggs. So I went out, I was going to check again after lunch. And so I went out there and I'm looking in the window before I went in to open the door because I didn't want to let them all out because they keep ending up out in the neighbors' yards and out by the road. So I didn't want to let them out. And I look in and one of the hens is in her box and she looks at me and she's kind of looking around, sniffing around, and then she stands up and I promise you, this chicken sang. She sang a song. It was unlike any noise I've heard any of the hens say, or balk, I guess. And then when I Googled it, it turns out that they do sing an egg song, which was totally new to me. And there's a few reasons people think that they do this. And one is it's to warn, or not to warn, it's to distract a predator away from the egg. So the one hen will sing her song and then the flock will hear and they'll sing and the predator is supposed to go over towards the flock and it's kind of like sacrifice myself for the egg, leave the egg alone. But the other thing is that it could just be the hens are all cheering for her. Like she wants to let everyone know I just laid an egg and they all kind of cheer for her by singing this egg song. And it was hilarious. The look on her face. I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw maybe a video or something like that. And even then I would have been like, that can't be real. She was in there. She was squawking up a storm, but it was a musical squawk. So interesting things you learn while you're doing farm chores. Okay, I have to count really fast because I got really, really off topic about my cabin socks and then about my chickens. And sure enough, oops, I went too far on one. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with our chickens and I'm getting our sourdough starter going again because I had it going well in the spring, and then one of the things I made was a sourdough English muffin and it was not cooked all the way through and I got food poisoning from it, and I hadn't done sourdough since our starter was no good anymore, and now I just started it and we are just about established from the starter. So a lot of fun homemaking and homesteady things happening around here. One thing I do when I have a chart that's a knitting chart, I'm going to I don't really know how to explain it. I'm going to just like try to cover and only show one part. If there's a big line, I just count out how many stitches are in that one section and I'll just write it. That way, every time I get to it, I'm not like, oh, was this the row with 6 or was this row 8 or whatever. I'm remembering, I'm kind of trying to keep the rhythm of going, and I'll say, okay, I'm at the big long section, I can do 7 now. And that has been helpful. It's just when you start talking while you work on it, it's not the most helpful. Okay, so I'm bringing my yarn under. Okay, here. 7. 1, 3, 1, 7. Okay. 1, 3, 1, 7. 1, 3. And it is definitely easier for me when, sorry, I'm talking so distracted today. It's definitely easier for me when something is symmetrical or it follows a similar pattern, and it's something I can say in my mind like, oh, I do this, then this, then this. I do this, then this, then this. And I do this, and this, then this. But if it's just sporadic, which a lot of these are, it's a little trickier, but it's very fun and rewarding. Oops. That's the other tricky thing with one. So I don't really have anything else knitting wise to share with you other than my sock pattern, like I was talking about, is done and ready, and like I had said, it was intended to be with a collection, so there are a few other socks that I'm working on the pattern and making sure all of its things are finished, and the pictures are already done. They've been done, everything's been done for a few months, but just getting it all together where I have the listings up and good to go are what I'm working on for those. So I will keep you guys updated. I'm trying to be reminded to be consistent that I need to send out an email. So if you're on my email list, you will be getting an email about when all those patterns get out. Otherwise, I hope I can hop on to here and share with you when those patterns are done. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to sit and quietly knit and count in my head. And I'll see you guys, talk to you guys, knit with you guys next time. Thanks, bye.